Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through stacks of material, find the core insights, and basically give you a shortcut to getting up to speed.
That's the idea.
And today we're plunging into something pretty relevant for a lot of people: personal reinvention, starting over, creating a new you.
Yeah, we've been digging into some really detailed stuff on navigating big personal changes.
Right. So our mission here is to pull out the absolute key principles, the practical steps, and maybe most importantly, the mindset shifts you need if you're feeling that pull to change things up significantly.
The packet.
Okay. So when you first look at this whole idea of reinvention in the material, what's the first big thing that jumps out?
Well, right off the bat, one of the most powerful points is that it's really not just about changing the external stuff.
Ah, okay. Like getting a new job or moving.
Exactly. It's easy to think, okay, new city, new me, or, a dramatic haircut. But the real core of it, according to this material, is reshaping your inner world.
Inner world,
Right.
meaning,
Meaning your mindset, the beliefs you carry around, your daily habits, and even that fundamental sense of who you are, your identity. That's where the real work happens.
that makes a lot of sense. Because you could change everything on the outside.
But if you're still running the same internal programs, you just recreate the same patterns, right?
Yeah, you take the old problems with you. Okay, so what triggers this desire for reinvention? The material talks about that too.
It does. And it's not always the big, dramatic, rock bottom moments, although those definitely count
Like a breakup, losing a job, that kind of thing.
for sure. Those are common triggers.
Hmm.
But sometimes it's quieter. It can be just this persistent feeling of boredom.
That is this all there is feeling?
Exactly that. Or digging a bit deeper. The material suggests that often underneath it all is this really profound craving for alignment.
Alignment.
Yeah, that deep down knowing that the life you're living right now just doesn't quite feel like the one you're meant to be living.
Wow, that phrase, knowing deep down when life isn't the one meant to be lived, that really hits home. And it doesn't have to be like flipping a switch overnight, does it?
Not at all. It can be a huge dramatic shift, absolutely. But it can also be a series of small, subtle changes that add up over time.
Yeah.
The crucial thing here isn't the speed, it's the intention.
The intention. So you're consciously choosing a new direction.
Precisely. You're deciding to steer differently.
Okay, so you feel that misalignment or maybe that boredom or you've hit a wall, you know something needs to change. Where do you even start? What's the first step according to this?
The absolute foundation, the critical first step, is letting go.
Letting go of what?
Letting go of the old story, the version of you that you've been identifying with, the one that's actually holding you back.
The story you tell yourself about yourself.
Exactly. And there's a really important distinction made here between identity and habit. We often confuse them. Well, you might say, oh, I'm just not disciplined, or I'm not a morning person, and you say it like it's a core part of your identity.
Right.
Fixed.
Yeah, like it's just who I am.
But the material frames those things much more as habits. And habits, crucially, can be changed. They aren't your fixed identity.
Okay, so we're kind of being loyal to our limitations, as the source puts it.
That's a great way to phrase it. We mistake just doing the same thing over and over, consistency, for being authentic.
But just because you've always done it that way doesn't mean it's the real you or the you that you want to be.
Exactly. Reinvention means being willing to question that narrative, to say, okay, maybe this story isn't serving me anymore. Time to rewrite.
Right. So how do you actually start that rewriting process? You're aware you have this old script. Now what?
Awareness is the starting block. The material strongly suggests getting really curious about your current narrative, like maybe through journaling.
Just writing it all out.
Yeah, asking yourself, what are the main things I believe about myself? And then dig a little, where did these beliefs even come from? Parents, school, past experiences.
And the big question.
The big question, do these beliefs actually help the person I want to become? Or are they holding me back? That's where you start seeing the story clearly, and then you can begin to challenge and replace the parts that don't fit anymore.
Okay, so you've done that hard work, become aware of the old story, maybe started to loosen its grip a bit. What comes next?
Well, once you've kind of cleared some space by looking at the old stuff, the next big phase is actively crafting a vision, a really clear, vivid picture of the person you want to become.
So not just wishing, but designing.
Exactly. Getting specific. What does this future version of you actually look like? How do they act? How do they speak, think, even dress? What fills their days?
It sounds like really visualizing it.
Yes, and the material connects this directly to identity transformation. The idea is powerful. If you can imagine it vividly enough, you've already started the process of becoming it.
That makes sense, like planting a seed.
Right. And there's a really cool exercise mentioned, actually writing a day-in-the-life journal entry, but writing it from the perspective of your future self.
Oh, I love that. So you're embodying it through writing.
Exactly. It makes it feel much more tangible, more real, and crucially, it provides clarity.
Clarity seems key here.
Absolutely. The brain loves clarity. You need to know where you're heading, even if you don't know every single step of how you'll get there. That vision is your North Star.
Okay, got the vision. You know who you're aiming to be. How do you actually get there? How do you build that bridge from who you are now to that future self?
This is where the rubber meets the road, really.
Hmm.
It's through habits.
Daily habits.
Habits, the material is super clear on this. Habits are the bridge. They connect your current self to your future self. It all boils down to asking yourself one guiding question over and over.
Which is
What does my future self do daily?
simple but powerful.
Yeah.
And then you just start doing those things.
You just start doing them. Now, even if it's in really, really small ways.
Like how small are we talking?
If your future self is healthier, maybe it's literally a 5-minute walk each morning to start. If they're more confident, maybe it's speaking up just once in a meeting today when you normally wouldn't. If they handle money better, maybe it's just tracking one purchase today.
So it's not about a massive overhaul immediately.
Yeah, no, it's about consistency with small actions.
Yeah.
Because those consistent actions start building evidence.
Evidence, proof for your brain.
Exactly. Proof that rewires your identity. The more you consistently act like that future self, the more your internal narrative shifts. It goes from I wish I was to, oh, this is just what I do now. This is who I am.
That's the power of consistency. It makes the new identity feel real.
It solidifies it.
Yeah.
Action creates identity.
This is all incredibly motivating, but let's be real, starting something new like this can feel terrifying. What about the fear, the resistance, the doubt that creeps in?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The material doesn't shy away from that at all. It acknowledges that reinvention is often scary. Resistance is basically part of the deal. It's expected.
So feeling scared isn't a sign you're doing it wrong.
Quite the opposite, actually. There's a powerful reframe offered. If you're feeling fear, it probably means you're growing. You're pushing your comfort zone. Fear means pay attention, not necessarily stop.
Okay, so lean into the fear, don't run from it.
Lean in and try to understand it. Ask yourself, what am I actually afraid of here? Is it failing? Is it what other people might think? Is it just the unknown?
Yeah, that fear of starting over can feel huge, like you're throwing away everything you've done.
Right. It feels like erasing the past.
Yeah.
But the material gives this brilliant perspective shift on that.
What's that?
You are never starting from zero. Ever. You are always starting from experience.
Say more about that.
Everything you've been through, every success, every failure, every lesson learned, it's all equipped you. It's prepared you for this next step, even in ways you might not recognize yet. You're starting from a foundation of lived experience.
That's a much more empowering way to look at it. Okay, so how do you actually move through the fear when it pops up instead of just freezing?
You take action with the fear. Courage isn't about not feeling fear. The material says it's about moving forward despite the fear.
So action is the antidote.
Small action, especially. Again, start tiny. Just one small step taken while feeling uncomfortable builds momentum. It shows you, okay, I felt the fear and I did it anyway. I survived. That builds confidence.
And what about setbacks? You're doing well, feeling good, and then bam, you slip up or hit a roadblock.
They're going to happen. Expect them.
Yeah.
But don't see them as proof that you should quit. The material suggests framing them as like tests or just feedback.
Feedback.
Instead of why me, ask, okay, what can I learn here? Maybe your approach needs tweaking. Maybe you need more support. Use the setback as data to adjust your course and keep going.
Okay. And then there's that inner critic, that voice.
Oh, yes, the who do you think you are voice.
Exactly. How do you handle that?
That voice usually comes from old programming, old fears. The key insight here is remembering that you are the observer of your thoughts, not the thoughts themselves.
So you don't have to believe everything you think.
Precisely. You can notice the critical thought, maybe even thank it for trying to protect you in its own weird way, and then consciously choose to respond with the truth of who you're becoming.
Like talking back to it.
Gently, firmly, affirming your new reality. I am growing. I am learning. I am evolving. You reinforce the identity you're choosing.
As you start to change and embody this new self, what about the world around you? Sometimes people or places don't fit anymore, right? The material talks about needing to make space.
It does, and this could be one of the hardest parts, honestly. Growth often requires release.
Releasing what, specifically?
It could be old habits that keep pulling you back. It could be relationships that are genuinely toxic or just reflect your old self too strongly. It could even be physical environments that constantly trigger the old patterns.
Letting go of people or situations, that sounds painful.
It definitely can be in the short term, but the material reframes it. You're not doing it out of anger or rejection of the past. You're doing it out of love and commitment to your future self.
Love for your future self.
Yeah. And often the long-term pain of holding on to things that no longer serve your growth is actually way greater than the temporary pain of letting go. Growth needs room to breathe.
So it might mean setting stronger boundaries or...
Or sometimes, yeah, it might mean loving certain people from a bit more distance, redefining how you interact.
Is there an upside to creating that space?
Absolutely. As your own energy and frequency shift through this intentional work, you naturally start attracting different circumstances, different opportunities, and yes, different people who resonate more with who you are becoming, like attracts like.
So this whole process, it sounds less like a project with an end date and more like a lifestyle.
That's a huge takeaway from the material. There's no finish line where you say, okay, reinvention complete. Real, meaningful reinvention is presented as an ongoing journey. It's a lifestyle of constant becoming.
Like life is a series of chapters, and you're always evolving into the next version of yourself.
Exactly. You'll likely go through many different versions, each building on the last. You're never truly done.
So the goal isn't perfection, it's progress.
It's about staying curious, staying committed to your growth, and staying aligned with what feels true for you in each phase. Always evolving.
That feels more sustainable somehow. Less pressure. The material shares a story, right? An example of someone who went through this, Sarah.
Yes, Sarah.
Hmm.
Her story is a great illustration. She was a corporate executive, really burned out, had the title, the money, all the external markers.
But felt empty inside.
Totally empty. Zero joy. Felt completely disconnected, like she didn't even recognize herself anymore. Classic case of needing a change.
So what did she actually do? How did her reinvention unfold?
She started small, just like we've been discussing. It began with daily journaling, getting that self-awareness piece. Then she intentionally made time to rediscover things she used to love, passions she'd let go of.
And the habits.
And then she started layering in small, consistent daily habits that felt more aligned with the person she wanted to be, not the burned out exec.
What was the outcome? How did things change for her?
Well, over about a year, the shift was significant. She actually left her corporate job and launched her own wellness business. She reconnected with her creativity, built a life that felt authentic to her.
Wow, that's a big change.
It is. But a really key point highlighted in her story is that she didn't just throw away her past. She integrated it. Her corporate skills, her experience. She used all of that as a foundation for her new path.
So it wasn't about escaping her past, but evolving from it.
Exactly. Evolution, not escape. Using everything you are, everything you've learned, as fuel for the next chapter.
That's a fantastic example. Okay, so for someone listening right now, feeling inspired, maybe a little overwhelmed, but ready to take a step, what are the absolute core actionable things they can do, like today? The material boils it down, right?
Yes. It gives 5 pretty straightforward steps to get started.
Okay, number 1.
1. Get clear. Really spend some time defining that future version of you. Write it down. Get specific. What's the vision?
Okay, clear vision. Number 2.
2. Let go. Identify at least one belief, one habit, maybe even one relationship or environment that clearly doesn't serve that future you, and consciously start working on releasing its grip.
Conscious release. Got it. 3.
3. Take small actions. Choose just 1 or 2 tiny daily habits that your future self would do and start doing them consistently.
Yeah.
Walk, speak up, track an expense, whatever it is, small steps.
Small, consistent actions. Number 4.
4. Speak the identity. Start using language, even just internally at first, that affirms who you're becoming. I am someone who values health. I am becoming more confident. Frame it in the positive, in the present, or becoming.
Speak it into existence almost. And
Yeah.
finally, 5.
5. Stay the course. Expect resistance. Expect setbacks. Don't let them stop you. Just keep showing up for those small actions. Remember, it's a journey. Be patient with yourself and keep referring back to that vision.
Get clear, let go, small actions, speak the identity, stay the course. That feels manageable.
It's designed to be. It's about starting where you are. And the material also mentions resources if people want to go deeper.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, things like an Instagram handle at Emily Reinvents, a website, emilyreinvents.com, a book called The Power of Reinvention, and even a free 7-day challenge focused on self-reinvention. Lots of ways to continue the exploration.
Good to know. Well, this has been a really illuminating deep dive into what personal reinvention truly involves. It's so much more than just surface changes.
It really is about that deep inner work.
Mm.
But the empowering part is that it's accessible. It's a choice you can make.
It really makes you think, if reinvention is this continuous journey, this sort of lifestyle of constant becoming, what does it mean to just accept that you're always a work in progress? And maybe, just maybe, that feeling stuck isn't actually a failure.
But maybe it's just a signal.
Yeah. It's just a signal that it's time to consciously step into the next chapter of your own reinvention. Definitely something to chew on.
For sure.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.